Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I have to admit, I lied to you. I have to make a public apology to all of you watching from home. I know you don't actually care that much, but boy, am I going to over-dramatize this very moment. We don't have Kane versus Puck. We don't have a ZVP. I told you we did. We don't. I thought NoRegreT was just in the chat lobby because we have a ZVZ on our hands. Ladies and gentlemen, Puck unfortunately was not able to show up either. That's 2 for 2. Maybe we can have Bunny or Snoot not show up for the final match. Just kidding, I really want to watch those guys play. Please don't make that happen. But NoRegreT versus Kane, a ZVZ. Now, you were making some cheeky comments while we were away. You said it was going to be a very fast series. Now, ZVZ is known for being kind of a knife fight. It can end very, very quickly. And NoRegreT, he's an aggressive player, isn't he?
Absolutely. He he loves the 23 drone Ling Bling all in, so I'm sure we'll see at least once.
I mean, Ling Bling all-ins can be really fun to watch from the technical aspect of watching players click a lot on very small units and trying to do things very quickly, because it's like, oh, you misclicked once, you lost 4 Lings to a Baneling or something like that, and sometimes it's over. We're kicking it into Expedition Lost, but who's going to be taking this first game? We'll find out just after this. Team Gravity presents Fight Night.
Y'all ready for this?
Does one of these players have the gall? Does one of these players lack the respect, I guess you could say, to actually go for some sort of proxy hatch shenanigans? I have no idea. We will find out. In fact, we will find out who these players are, because kicking it off, our first player of our second best of 5, representing Team Ascension in the bottom left corner, this is NoRegreT.
And in the top right-hand corner, we have NA King's Kane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the king of NA. Kane's ZVZ is so good that I'm not even sure if NoRegret's gonna go for his 23 drone Ling Bling all in he does all the time, because he should know that Kane should be very well trained at defending those kinds of things, and it is an all in, and if you properly prepare, properly execute, it gets held, and then you kind of lose the game. So I'm thinking maybe the first couple games, NoRegreT will try and play straight up, see how he does about that, and if he gets pushed back in his macro play, he might try to throw in some cheese. That's what I'm expecting.
Coming into this, I have never actually played in a tournament setting. I've played RTS games for many, many years, mostly as some sort of terrible, terrible scrub. Actually, always as some sort of terrible, terrible scrub. And what I imagine is, what happens in these situations with these players is the same thing I go through when I get matched up on ladder against someone I just know I'm going to lose to. It's like, I feel like going into it, no matter what I do, I'm going to lose the game. And going into a series like this, if NoRegreT, he's not, right? He's not. No, he is. Oh, he is.
Oh, he's taking the gold.
Wow.
Whoa.
How about that? That is a...
Yeah, so this build, he went 15, 15, 15. And it's a good build. The only thing that it pretty much hard countered loses to 14, 14. But, you know, it's a little bit out of fashion since Wings of Liberty. So its biggest counter is not exactly in the meta. But he knows it's a gold-based expo, so he's building 6 Lings instead of just 2 or 4. He's building all 6, and so he's really gonna contend this. And NoRegreT, you know, having to do sacrificing a gas and such, a drone for a gas and such. He wanted to have 15 drones, but he also wants a gas, which means he's spending more larva on drones, and so he doesn't have 6 Lings. He only has 2, and so if Kane can deny this expo, he just wins right there.
The other thing about getting those 2 lings is they're just now going to be making their way across the map. So even there's no opportunity where he's got like 2 lings against 2 lings of Kane or anything like that. It's always going to be 2 lings against the 6 of Kane. And now we're seeing Kane very nice micro, kills off 1 ling without losing anything. And he's microed back the 2 weakened lings to be in a further position. Gets the kill there. And what a nice opening from Kane. Down to half HP on this hatchery before any more reinforcements are even close enough to contend this. He does have to worry about broodlings, but as you said, killing this hatchery is kind of a winning game situation.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have gas, so he needs to get home as soon as possible. But he's got a lot of queens, and he knows that that NoRegreT, he forced a ton of drones or lings out of NoRegreT. So he's just going to pull back and play defensive here.
Ooh, nice surround by those lings, but the triple queen going to be helping these lings to hold their ground. Now, one of these queens going to be getting focused. The other ones are pretty darn weak as well, but it looks like these lings no more lings flooding in. There's the reinforcements. They get a full surround, and can he do this? There's going to be the finishing up of that spine crawler, and once again, another surround on the 4th queen coming in. NoRegreT with 6 kills on drones, and he's powering more and more lings after this. Even a baneling on the production tab, morphing in the main base of Kane. Has he done it?
Excellent play. He might be able to. After killing those queens is a pretty big deal. No gas, no speed anywhere on the way. He has a massive tech advantage, and he absolutely needs to make a wall. This is what Kane's last hope is. And I mean, he built drones, so if these 2 spines can hold him, the drones will carry him. But there's still no wall.
It's just been so many lings being pushed out from NoRegreT. He is, of course, going to be ahead in that army supply. There's the surround on the spine crawler, but they're starting to be worked away at. There's the baneling stepping forward. They get a couple of lings there, and they are going to be potentially able to kill. Well, they kill out 4 more lings between the last 2 of them, but that may have been enough. That's pretty much all of the army supply for Kane. GG! Now, kind of the point that I was... Yeah, and going into that, you said, like, the ZVZ from Kane is just very, very good. And so NoRegreT might try to play straight up, and that was the kind of the point that I was getting to as being someone who's terrible at games. You play against those players who are just going to beat you no matter what, and going into that, maybe that's how NoRegreT feels. Like, maybe if he goes into the series and he cheeses a game and he plays standard and he loses both of them, he's like, well, I can't cheese him, I can't macro, so I just lose. But in this case, he cheesed him very well, almost got build order countered by Kane, but still came out ahead and still was able to make it happen. And I don't even know what to say. That was like some very nice decision-making by NoRegreT. And yeah, it was a pretty hardcore all-in, but he made it work.
Yeah. I mean, with 20, he had 21 harvesters to 14. He had 2 gases on the building on the way, so it was essentially 23. He built 2 spine crawlers, and after all that, he still had 21 harvesters. So he was at a massive advantage, and he had 3 queens on the ramp, with the 4th one finishing in his main as the attack happened. And Kane just didn't respect NoRegreT's potential aggression enough. He had the queens out in the open. He had 2 lings. He thought that was going to be enough, and every time he kept thinking, oh, I'm just going to barely hold this, more lings trickled in, and then he was, oh, I lost a queen. Well, I'm still having enough to barely, oh, more just trickled in. Oh, now he broke me. Now you're pretty much lost. And that's Kane, you know, if he held his ramp a little bit more, bought himself time, losing a drone here or there, or maybe losing one of those spine crawlers, but saving all those queens to do it. Always holding his ramp, always keeping those queens alive. If he could have had 4 queens, you know, with that 4th one finishing his main, bring it down, only have 1 spine crawler instead of 2, and actually losing a couple more drones, so now he's down to 18. It still would have been 18 to 14, 4 queens. I mean, it's very difficult to break that, and when you can't break it, I think Kane would have been at a huge advantage. So he didn't respect the potential flood that was impending on him, and he lost the queens, and it just snowballed from there. So I think Kane probably will hold his ramp the next time. This ramp, it's Cactus Valley, where it's cross positions. So if NoRegreT goes for something similar, it's just not going to hit as powerfully. And so once both players realize it's cross positions, I don't think we're going to see particularly early Ling Bling cheese or anything of that nature on this map. We'll probably see a macro game this game.
Let's find out as both of these guys starting to bank up a few of those resources. You mentioned it's a 4-player map, but kicking it off in the bottom right corner of this 4-player map, Cactus Valley LE, our man in the purple who is up 1-0 in this best-of-5 preliminary match. He is NoRegreT, representing Team Ascension.
And in the top left-hand corner, we have #1 Zerg Kane, North American Zerg, playing for MYI, My Insanity. He's still on My Insanity, right? He's just repping the NA King tag?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been doing that for a while. He,
Really?
I think it kind of speaks to me as being the same sort of stuff that, was it, I think it was Scarlet? Oh, no, her ID was like Toss Imba. I was thinking that was a clan tag. But yeah, for a while, Scarlet ran with the ID Toss Imba, and this is just like, Kane's like, yeah, what up? Premier League, 2 seasons in a row. Top 8, 1 season. Lost out in the round of 32 the other season, but we'll just skip over that. He's probably feeling pretty good about himself when he decided to make that clan, and he was like, yeah, I'm the best in NA. Yeah, I am. That's like almost undisputed. Lately, definitely a lot more disputable that he's best in NA. You mentioned that ZVZ is very good, and we saw some elements of that very, very good ZVZ. It wasn't enough, as you mentioned, not enough respect from Kane. But in this case, he's the aggressor. He's the one going to be pumping out quite a few lings. I guess 6 isn't quite a few. It's like the 2 extra. Because normally you go for at least maps. 2 or 4, but the 6, yeah, that's a few extra, and
it's gonna snipe the queen when it comes out. He won't have lings in time. He should be able to kill the queen, or even go in the main base and snipe another couple drones.
I mean, yeah, he definitely gets at least 1. Ooh, so he sees the early upgrades going to be coming in. He gets himself some extra ling kills as well, and 5 in total, 5 drones.
And yet Kane's still up by 6.
Wow.
Oh, wow. He goes for the +1 attack rather than the armor.
So what is NoRegreT's plan from here? I mean, I don't know much about early Evo builds, and +1 attack, of course, he's going to be looking for those Zerglings to do that extra damage, but he's adding on the... Oh, no, excuse me, that's Kane adding on the extra gases. He's just staying on the 1 gas. Is he not going banelings or anything like that, or does that come later?
I don't think he's going to go banelings. He's going to try... See, that's the thing about the +1 armor. You can flood +1 armor lings. Oh, wow, the ling still is getting a scout off. He sees only 1 guy in gas, so he knows it's not banelings. He knows it's only going to be mass speedling.
Wow.
And that's the thing, is that if it's mass speedling, banelings are great, but if he thinks it's +1 armor, banelings might not do the job as well as a wall will. And but if he just creates some kind of wall, which is very easy to do on this map, and that's what we're seeing here, spine crawler, queen, roach warren wall. You get a wall, you go roach baneling, and there's I can't see Kane losing to this. He's got he's NoRegreT's kind of just hasn't droned up. He's trying to put aggression on, but he thinks he can afford the 3rd hatchery, which is surprising. I feel like that 3rd hatchery is not really going to come into play by the time this game's already decided. So I think he's just hoping that he could do enough damage and then pull back and actually have the 3rd to pull back to. But he's got to know this map's so easy to wall. These lings aren't going to do anything.
He certainly is fighting an uphill battle as that Evo chamber making this wall off even tighter. Just those 2 queens double blocking the gap. Lings going to be pouring in here. Only 1 or 2 of them can actually attack the queens at the time. And then, of course, once this first queen falls, there's a 2nd queen. The transfuse goes down. And you mentioned the 3rd base. Sometimes we see Zerg players use it, at least in other matches. I'm sure in ZVZ as well. But they use it just for that larva. And is he going to actually have success against roaches with +1 attack lings if he tries to just... All right, he's switching into drones, so yeah, I guess he's not looking too hard into that ling flood.
He's still, he's spent all his money and he's still floating larva, and that's the thing about this 3rd hatchery not really coming into play until until after he gets these drones. And that's the thing, is that,
Wow.
just can't get anything done.
Yep.
Once it's
he's
scouted,
trading
you just
out.
can't commit. I mean, he needed to understand that Kane scouted him, and he needed to feign aggression, and he didn't. He went with the full aggression and hoped that something would come out of it. And it's just, we're seeing Kane now stopped at 39 harvesters, and now doing a mass roach ling attack, and there's nothing Kane can do. The only thing he's got going for him is a lair, but that's not gonna, a faster lair that's just finished, but that's not gonna give him anything.
Potentially, maybe if he gets like some miracle Baneling hits, I don't even know if that would be enough, as NoRegreT does have a couple of them going to be morphing. One queen goes down, and as you mentioned, the aggression coming out from NoRegreT, it was later than it should have been, in part because of those early drone kills, and then, of course, that snowballed, but he also lost an Overlord early on, kind of leading into that supply block, and now Roaches camped out on the main base ramp. For Kane, he's flooding another 20 or 30 lings behind these Roaches. It's all aggression. As you mentioned, he's got his 30-ish harvesters, and he's just kind of holding around that 40 number, flooding more and more army units as these Roaches starting to trade out pretty darn well against, oh, excuse me, that was a huge amount of lings on the production tab for NoRegreT, but still he has to deal with all of these Roaches.
GG.
And he can't. GG. Kane brings it back. It's a 1-1 tie-up between NoRegreT and Kane here at Team Gravity's Fight Night. Of course, brought to you by Hitbox.tv. If you guys are watching over on Team Liquid, well, thank you very much for tuning in regardless. Myself and Sir Robin have been hopefully enjoying these games. I know I have been. You seem like you've been enjoying them. So hopefully the viewers at home have been enjoying them as well. But it's made possible by Hitbox, and of course by the work that the Team Gravity staff does behind the scenes, lining up all of these players, getting everything ready to go. And it's also brought to you by spawningtool.com, which you can check out if you're a player. It's particularly useful. They've got a lot of replays. They've got, in fact, the Team Gravity Fight Night replays, so if you want to check out maybe Tasia vs. Parting, two players that you may have heard of. They played last week, and I did mention it's Team Gravity Fight Night number 20. That means that already this year, 2015, 20 different times we have played out Team Gravity Fight Nights. That's $2,000 that have been played out, courtesy of Hitbox TV and Team Gravity, into the pockets of those StarCraft 2 players. And of course, you can check out spawningtool.com because they, Hitbox, and UFO Gaming do make the Team Gravity Fight Night Tournament of Champions possible, which is another kind of exciting development to the Team Gravity Fight Night series, which has been going on. Now, to move it back into these games, Vonnie Research Station will be map number 3. Similar to our first series, we saw a, quick game, and we saw, well, an even score, a 1-1 situation. So we get into this place where game number 3 can be a little bit of decider for momentum, who's actually going to be able to take it. In this case, these two guys seemed like they're evenly matched, but I mean, I definitely feel like this could go either way, but I feel like the guy in the south may have some advantages the longer this game goes on. Representing my insanity and his personal clan, NA King, he is Kane.
And in the top center, we have the almost WCS challenger, NoRegreT. If anybody saw, he was 1 round from qualifying for WCS. So he's definitely up there. He's very close to the coined professional. He's put a lot of practice in, and we've seen him with some polished builds. The problem I think that originated from last game was really just poor. Well, one, of course, he got scouted, but I think the map was just not as prone to that kind of style with that easy wall, and you only need 1-2 buildings, and all of a sudden lings become irrelevant. So, we're seeing NoRegreT move a drone out for a proxy gold again.
Against a 15 pool coming out from the NA King, Kane.
This is
so he's
this is crazy. This is offensive. Oh my
I'm
god.
not for sure, but I feel like NoRegreT is hoping that it's going to be like 14 hatch, or 15 hatch, something like that from Kane. He's like, hey, it's Vonnie Research Station. We got an in-base natural. Kane is probably going to be going for hatch first. I feel like that's his assumption, but Kane going pool first.
Yeah, this map looks like it's long in that you couldn't do early cheeses, but it really is pretty solid to do, you know, a 10-10, ling bling, slow ling bling all in, or 10 pool, just heavy ling. And so he's being safe, getting the pool first. This map is also just another map that's not very good with ling bling. You can put two queens on the ramp, and then you can defend both your expansions with just two queens on the ramp. While on other maps, two queens on the ramp keeps your main base safe, but not your natural. And so this map's really easy to defend against ling bling all-ins or mass ling all-ins. And so I think Kane knows that if he just doesn't lose to any super early cheese, he's not going to lose to any mid-game cheese on this map. And then all he needs to do is just play his game and he'll win. But NoRegret's definitely mixing it up. I've never seen somebody play like this, a proxy hatch first on your opponent's gold. So pretty crazy stuff. We'll see what he can do with it.
And it's not like he's flooding lings out of this. I mean, NoRegreT is going drones. He's just hoping this gold base doesn't get scouted. Now, for NA King, Kane, he actually checks over by the gold base, the proper gold base of NoRegreT. He doesn't check his own gold base, and potentially, if he's able to sneak an Overlord in, I don't know if he's actually been able to see enough as far as what's going on inside of the main base of NoRegreT to determine that he's missing a hatchery or something, but once Kane jumps over to the natural and finally sees, oh hey, you don't have a natural, it'll be a huge tip-off. I don't know how long that's going to be for Kane.
We'll see it right now.
Yeah.
Let's see what he does. Let's see how he reacts. He's got to know there's another hatchery somewhere. Instant spine crawler.
Mm-hmm. Two spine crawlers even. Yeah. He does have... Kane, he's got that Overlord. Actually, NoRegreT getting supply blocked once again. I guess Queens going Overlord hunting or something like that. Yep, going Overlord hunting for sure. But Kane, he's got an Overlord over at the third base, the proper third base of NoRegreT. So he's like, well, wait a second. I checked the gold. You don't have anything there. I checked your third. You don't have anything there. So it wasn't like weird third. And now he's, of course, like, all right.
This is where 4-queen double spine crawler, there's just no way you're going to break it with speedlings. And I'm also really surprised NoRegreT went a third queen at his expo. And it looks like he's going to use it to off creep. But no, he's turning it back around. It's very peculiar. This is just not going to work out too well for him. It's a lot of lings, though. And the second spine's not up.
About 30 lings or so from NoRegreT. There's the double transfuse going down, trying to save these queens, but those spines.
This is crazy.
So much damage, and I mean, you mentioned it, the double spine on the low ground from NoRegreT. He's actually going to be making use of his opponent's creep, and he's like, hey, you know what? Creep is pretty good in ZVZ, and of course he's got the reinforcement point and the extra income from that gold base, which at this point Kane is of course aware of, but this is so weird. I mean, more and more lings flooding out for NoRegreT. He of course just wants to keep up the aggression, but as more roaches come out, can he even break this front? It seems pretty defensible.
His play was cheeky and cute, but it got scouted before it even happened. And without Kane taking any damage, he's made so much more money now. All he needs to do is get these roaches out and he wins the game.
Yep, the roaches now going to be assaulting the lings directly, and of course with the high ground advantage, NoRegreT needs some sort of vision for his spine crawlers to be able to do anything at all, but the lings, they're so low in numbers for NoRegreT. He's bleeding out more and more as transfuses come down, even with a queen and a spine crawler falling. NoRegreT can't get into the main base. I'm assuming the GG will come out momentarily, but for now he's flooding more lings. He's got that gold base income. He's a rich boy.
Yeah.
I guess he's not even that rich. His mineral income is half that of his opponent due to, of course, the literal half number of drones that he's got in relation to Kane. So I guess even with that gold base, I was expecting it to be a bit more even, but yeah, he doesn't have much going on at the gold base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's... Yep. And he's already played all his cards. This is all he's got.
I mean, it's not a best of 3. He does have an opportunity to drop this game and still make something happen in our next one, which is where he's going to have to look. He has to look to the future. Maybe those last few seconds, he was like, maybe this is one of those games that everybody talks about because of how I suddenly win from this unwinnable position. Like, I feel like there's some of those players that just always have that thought going through their head. They're like, nah, don't GG. Don't GG. What if this is that game that everyone talks about? And of course, it like virtually never is that game. So the GG coming out eventually for NoRegreT, and Kane, he takes a 2-1 lead against NoRegreT.
Yeah, I really wish NoRegreT would play a little bit more deceiving in the sense that, you know, like we were pointing out, when Kane scouted that, he instantly throws down 2 spine crawlers. He instantly creates like another queen and goes 4 queens. He builds a Roach Warren Evo Chamber wall. He frantically does all those things, and he's got to know, like me, just like I was pointing out, that this map is not the best with Zerglings, like Speedlings and such. And so with that ramp, sorry, my dog's scratching.
Yeah. Those collars in the background.
Yeah.
Some lovely music.
But so, you know, NoRegreT's got to know that map's not very good for Mass Speedling. So it would have been really nice to see NoRegreT look like he I don't know if you guys see my webcam, but but you know, it would have been nice for him to make it look like he's doing this all in and this is totally what's happening. You better defend, and then actually just take advantage of that gold base, because like you said, he had half the drone count, so it didn't get to take advantage of that gold base.
In some cases, you can make something happen with half the drone count. That was certainly not one of those cases. Now that we move into our game number 4, after, as you somewhat predicted, this has been a pretty quick series, we move into a map that has a very different main natural sort of relationship. However, the man in the bottom left corner, excuse me, you know, directions are kind of hard for me, but regardless, bottom left corner, he represents Team Ascension. He opened up with a quick 1-game win and then a succession of 2 games lost. Can he bring it back? Can he even the score up, or will he fall to the man in the top right? The man in the bottom left. This is NoRegreT. Hopefully he's got no regrets about these games. I apologize.
Do we announce Kane in the top right-hand corner?
We normally do.
In the top right-hand corner, NA Kings up 2-1. Kane on Team MYI Insanity.
MY Insanity. I guess that's one way to put it. All right, kicking it off. NoRegreT. He seems to have a suddenly lack of drones. Like, ordinarily, you expect to have 13, 14 drones around this point. He has a distinct lack of drones, but a distinct addition of gas and, of course, the pool. So the early gas, again, to my very simpleton brain, ordinarily says something like Banelings, maybe like super hardcore Roach with upgrades or something like that. What is he looking to do with an early pool, early gas?
So, I mean, this map, Roaches are definitely ruled out. It's just too big of a map. It takes too long to get across. He's definitely going to do some kind of early Ling Bling attack. This kind of style is actually pretty good against a pool first. You really just need to keep massing queens, but with this map, if he effectively avoids overlords, Kane's not going to know it's coming, and you can flood in Lings without your opponent realizing it's about to happen, because this map's just too big to actually get the scouting intel you need early on. But Kane seems to be playing rather conservatively throughout this entire series. He's always making Lings and never over droning. So, you know, if this were me, I'd probably have 18 harvesters right now. But he's at 16, built 4 Lings already. It's second queen instantly on the way. You know, he's doing the right things, and with these 2 Lings out on the map, he should scout. Yep, there we go. So he sees more lings from NoRegreT. He knows NoRegret's doing an earlier pool than him, and he's already got a drone on down there for a spine crawler. He already knows NoRegreT's play.
He starts the spine crawler like immediately as he could. There's going to be the lings to defend, and yeah, wow, throws down a second one as well. Cross spawn was NoRegreT hoping for, you know, like maybe horizontal spawns? Is this going to be like that much more effective, or I guess ineffective now that it's actually cross spawns?
It definitely could have helped, but at the same time, Kane could have seen it coming sooner. But because Kane's been playing, like you said, exactly the second he could have built the spine crawler, he did. And so we're seeing that
those banelings not quite
he needed. Yeah, it's
and actually, wow, these speedlings getting some work done, but it's not. I feel like it's not enough.
No, it's not. Kane's kind of already held. He kind of hard countered it with his style. He instantly was already preparing for it before, you know, if it's one thing having to send the drone down there and then build the spine crawler, but the drone already sitting there before he even scouted the lings out on the map was just perfect play. Kane knows that this map is vulnerable to this kind of play, and he was safe. He scouted correctly, and once he knew it was coming, he's not going gasless and mass spine crawler queen, and that's all you need. 2 more queens out on the way. Once you reach 6 queens and 3 spine crawlers, he'll just start mass droning, and that's what we're seeing. 2 more drones. It's gonna go up to 20 compared to 13, and there's just no way you can break this or stop him from droning anymore.
Now, with this being a best of 5 and a king, Kane being up 2-1 in this series, Cactus Valley and Vonnie Research Station being the maps that he won. Now on Iron Fortress, it may all be coming down to this heavy all-in coming out from NoRegreT. Banelings on the back end trying to find those sweet spots, but there's not a whole lot for them to impact into. Transfuse is going down. Not even that
galore.
Yeah, with so many queens, he's got like unlimited. And, oh, more lings and banes. NoRegreT thinks he's still got this, but does he really have a chance?
He knows that he just doesn't have there's no way he can turn back right now. There's no way he can just pull back and build a hatchery. So he's trying everything he can. But with, like you said, the transfuses galore. Every second that goes by means another 2 transfuses, right? And it's just when you have 4 transfuses, there's just no way you're going to break anything. Banelings sacking for mana, energy, queen energy. And
now
resources
that we're moving,
loss tells the story.
Wow. Triple resources lost for NoRegreT overall. Not to mention, we're almost at that 2-base saturation coming up for Kane. There's going to be the queens. First couple of them actually going down. GG! And yeah, NoRegreT needed to do like crazy game-winning amounts of damage. He didn't even do crazy amounts of damage. That was just, you get 1 queen, you've expended most of your army, and as you said, he needed to do quite a bit. Wasn't quite able to make it happen. Kane takes the series 3-1. NoRegreT showing us some very cheeky play in game number 1, managing to take a game off of Kane on Expedition Lost with some gold-based shenanigans. And then after that, Kane just sort of manhandled, and it felt like Kane knew what to do and was, I don't know, maybe it's just he was kind of like, all right, I'm going to go for something that's good against a lot of cheeses, so even if NoRegreT goes for like any of these numerous specific cheeses, I'll still be pretty safe against him. I don't know exactly what his thought process was there, but any final thoughts on that series?
Yeah, great play by Kane. I think game 1, he had really strong play game 1. He just was a little bit too greedy, had that confidence thinking the queens were strong enough without being on the ramp. And I think after that game, Kane just pulled back and was like, all right, this is NoRegreT. He does this all the time. Let me just constantly keep scouting and do styles that give me the scouting intel, and yes, hurt my econ just a little bit, but not to the point where it truly puts me behind. And so the next game we see him do an early like 9 or 10 pool where it's just 6 lings, and those actually gave him the scouting intel along with killing 5 drones, sees the Evo chamber, and that just instantly wins him that game. The next game he does styles just like it. Anything that's every build that Kane did, he always had early scouting potential, and that's what you need against NoRegreT, because being one less drone under NoRegreT for 30 seconds is not going to lose you the game. What's going to lose you the game is not having those two lanes scout that he doesn't have a hatchery and is natural.
Mm.
So
So, information being exceedingly important. However, we do have a best of 7 to still jump into. It's going to be a TVZ. Liquid Bunny versus Liquid Snoot. Potentially the two best foreigners. Snoot, maybe not so much recently, but still, he's one of those guys who's been around for years and years, going back to some of his wins in 2012, and still a guy who's shown very good play throughout the years. And even in 2015, if he's fallen off a little bit, he still is a very powerful Zerg player. And of course, Bunny, he's more of the one that everyone's looking to. He's the hot and very good Terran player coming out for Team Liquid. Taking a lot of names, stepping up to the challenge. Of course, top 4 last season with WCS. But we're going to jump into all of that, in a minute. We do have a quick commercial break to get into first. Thank you all very much for watching. Team Gravity's Fight Night will continue after this.